Yo, back here with part two, Miss Janice,
Yes.
and thank you so much for part one. It was
Thank
an
you.
amazing
Thank
part where
you.
people got to know you. So now, before we actually start this part, I want to actually tell you the meaning of this shirt,
Okay.
because I want to give a shout out to uh, the guy that gave me this shirt in New York City. I was there with my artist, just doing some work, and then he came to me and said, you guys do content?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, basically, but this is my artist, and we're doing some networking. We're shooting some videos." He said, "Oh my God, perfect." So I have this shirt, and then when he gave me the shirt, before he gave us the shirt, he actually told us, "Okay, look at the shirt and just read this to me and tell me what it says. Just read it. Try your best."
You okay? You Bunny by UBUNIBI.
Okay, so she read it Ubanibu or Ubanibi. But if you do spell it out loud, yep, spell it out loud, and then just tell me what it says.
UBUNIBI.
You get it?
No,
UBU and
and I'll be I.
exactly.
UBU and IBI.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Shout out to him, man. Y'all go ahead.
Shout out.
I'm actually gonna post this merch on Instagram so that way you guys can go ahead and tune in. He's a really nice guy. Really nice guy. Like he's doing his thing. And when I saw the meaning, I'm like, oh shoot. He actually, UBU and IBI, and he kind of said like the reason why he did it is because it allows peace in the world. UBU and
And
IBI, but at the end of the day, we're doing our stuff.
Yes.
You're minding your business, I'm minding my business, but nothing crazy going on. No envy, no
Wow.
nothing. So it came with a lot of meaning. So shout out to you, man.
Shout out. I like that.
Definitely. But yeah, and also, so now let's dive into your book.
Yes.
So to your book, I want to actually highlight every point of the title. So first, let's start off with prayers.
Prayer.
So like your book is called Prayer, Faith, and Guts.
Determined to make it.
Determined to make it. So like with prayers, so what does prayers mean to you, and why did you put that as the first thing on your title?
Okay. First thing, the title came from my mother. Her favorite words was, "I come this far on three things: prayer, faith, and guts, determined to make it." So that's where this title came from. Okay. Those were her three things. Her solidness, her foundation was her prayers. And so prayer for her, when you think of prayer, people think of praying like, our Father, God, I need you to do this. But for my mother, I can speak for her. Praying is really just talking. And this is what I mean. Like you and I are having a conversation.
Right.
This is how she talks to God. So she doesn't say that, our Father and thuses and thous. She'll say, okay, God, what should I do? Okay, God, where should I go? And how should I handle this situation? And so those are conversations that she has. So that's the prayer.
Right.
Prayer can be, praying scriptures and all of that. In addition to, I think it's a relationship that you have with God or whomever your higher power that you
believe in.
Believe in.
Right,
So,
right,
that's
definitely.
it. So prayer to me is just a conversation.
So like, and also growing up, like, was your mother or just anybody in your family like was very strict on prayers? Because at the end of the day, you say you grew up in church. Was it something that you guys kept like did every single day?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No. Believe it or not, the guts was first.
Okay.
And determination came later. And then the prayer. And then the faith. So although the title says that, it didn't start that way.
Okay, so it started from like, let's say from the bottom up.
From the bottom up. And no, we was not a very religious family at all. My father didn't even go to church. I recall my father starting to go to church not too long before he passed away. My father passed away in 1983, very young. He was 46 years old. My mom was 42, very young widow. And I think maybe 2 or 3 years prior to him passing away is when he started going to church. My mom and I and my siblings would go, but I only remember me going as a youngster. So church wasn't something that, it wasn't instilled in us. Now, I have my family and I have a lot of family on both sides, mother and father's side. Church was definitely a foundation. Definitely a foundation in our family, yes.
And also, like, just starting going to church even more. Did you guys just start it because of your father's passing, or did you do it because you just it was in the moment of like understanding? Okay, God can put things in your life and He can take it away from you.
You know what? I think it may have been a combination. Again, going to church on Sunday was something that was foundational.
Right.
So something that what my mother was raised up with doing with her mother and her siblings at church. When Sunday came, Saturday night, you got yourself prepared. So a little different than today. You would lay out your clothes. You would lay out everything that you need to wear for the next day. Your meals was prepped on Saturday. So everything was prepped on Saturday, preparing you for Sunday. And like I said before, even when I was going to clubs on Friday and Saturday, when Sunday came, it was church. It wasn't even an option.
It was church.
It was church on Sunday. Church didn't matter. As a matter of fact, and I'll just throw this in here, even in New Year's, if I was at a club New Year's, I'll be getting down by 11:45. I got to bring the New Year's in church. I'll go to church and sit there, bring the New Year's. Hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. Okay, go back to the club. Get down. Get down. I mean, yes.
Right. No, I feel you. I like your honesty. I like your I like your honesty because there's people that do that, but they will not sit here and man, that's why that's what I like about my podcast too. Because I told people like just be authentic, speak your mind. No judgment zone. We're all human beings. Nobody's perfect. At the end of the day. But yeah. So now let's move on to the next thing. Faith. Okay, so faith just being highlighted as the second word on your book's title. What does faith really mean to you, and how can you kind of like explain it to the people that's going to be reading your book?
Faith is believing in what you don't see, because you see everything.
Right. For
my mother. And the reason why I keep referencing her is because the book was in honor for her. So that's why I wrote the book 3 years ago. So faith for her, she said she didn't have anything that she had seen that she could trust. Okay. There was nothing that she could see that she could trust and believe in. And so it was easy for her to believe in somebody that she didn't see. She had been let down before. When my father passed away, there was no one there. We were no longer family, people just seemed to like disappear.
Wow.
And so it was her faith that carried us and that carried her and 4 children. I was 22. My middle sister was 17. My baby sister was 9 and my brother was turning 3. Wow. And so imagine a woman at 42 years old, 4 children, and really like being abandoned.
And how did she manage to work? And
she didn't have to work. That's a blessing. She didn't have to work. She always say, see that bus out there, that NFTA bus, baby, that takes care of me. And she'll let you know today, that Social Security that my father worked for, that takes care of her, including God.
Wow.
So she was fortunate. She did not have to work. She was a stay-at-home mom. When she did work, she did like little cleaning here and there, whatever, but she didn't have to work at all.
Wow. And actually, you just mentioned stay-at-home mom. What's your opinion on that? Because today, a lot of people usually don't kind of like believe in that, because back then, that's when like the general thing was very enforced within households, where the man is the breadwinner and the mother was basically the nurturer, like the stay-home person that takes care of the house. What does that? What can you say about that for today's generation to kind of like make them understand exactly the benefit, the pros and cons of it?
You know what? That's personal.
Okay.
That's really personal. I don't have any advice on that. I would just say this. If you want to be married, you need to know your role. Be clear about what your role is. Be clear about what your expectation of your husband is. My mother said she always knew she wanted to be married and have a family. She said that was the first and foremost. She knew she wanted to be married and have a family, and so that was her goal. And she never said much about working. She never really talked about that, however. And so fortunately, she was introduced to my father from her brother, and he was a provider. He provided. And she talks about him being a provider. Even in his death, he's still providing, because she gets that check every month. She's so, thank you, God, and thank you, Eddie Hunt, and thank you, NFTA.
Thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you, thank you, and thank you. She said, do you think I'd be looking this good if I had to work? You think I'd be looking this good and sitting here with my legs crossed? Baby, I wouldn't be looking this good if I had to go out here and work. And I'm not saying it as a put down for any woman or any individual that has to work, but that's stress.
Right.
That's stress. Stress out here in corporate America, out here dealing with people on jobs and employees and employers, and then you may have children. That's stress. She
lot
didn't
of
have
stress.
that. She didn't have that. So
That's
yes,
a blessing. I mean, God
blessing.
blessed her.
Yes.
But yeah, and so now let's move on to the next one, which you said
Guts.
the most important thing you guys in your family, you guys had guts. So a lot of people, I mentioned this last time when you was here, we had that conversation. Is that how I look at guts is just me being an athlete or just anybody in general. When you have the guts, is what keeps you going. You know, like you say, you know what, you have no fear of anything. You have the guts to continue and push and push. But like, what does guts mean to you, and how did that kind of like help you grow as a person, and what made you actually include that in your book as well?
Again, guts. I see my mother. I can't say saw because she's still alive now. She's 83 years old. I've never seen my mother be fearful of anything or anyone. And her guts is her resilience and saying, despite everything that has happened to me, despite everyone walking away from me and my children, you know what? We're gonna be all right. We're gonna
Be all right.
We're gonna be all right. And so her guts, and she has something. She always felt that she had something to prove. And so her guts said, guess what? Watch me. She never did a lot of talking. She just said, watch me. And so her guts was her guts is, now in past tense, is her resilience. She said, don't you know they still drive by the house just to see how it's looking if it's still standing? Don't you know they still drive by the house and see if the lawn still cut? Is the house falling apart? Don't you know they still drive? They're not talking about it. She said, but you know I'm still standing. I'm still standing. That's her guts and resilience. And when I look at her, she was the example of that. And I have to say that I haven't always had what she has, but I have at least had an example of it. Right. At least have an example of it. And she said, look at me. Look at me. You have a living, breathing example of what it is to have prayer, faith, and guts. You can look at me. And if you can look at me and see that what you can, you'll be all right.
Right.
So, yes.
Wow. And guts keep you going.
Guts keep you going. You're an athlete. You already know.
Right, definitely.
When you
Yep.
get tired and what kicks in?
The guts.
The
Like
guts.
you have to go. You have to go. You could feel that pain, but at the end of the day, you want to make it to the finish line.
Yes.
You know, you want to make it to the finish line, and yeah, and also determined to make it. Where did that come from as well?
Determination, again, came from willpower. It was something within, not without.
Right.
Determination and guts is something on the inside. It's not an outside factor. It's an inside factor. It's something that you prove to yourself. I'm going to make it. I'm going to be all right. I'm going to make it through this crisis, through this trauma, through this stress. When my father died, so many things was happening. And I'll just share a little bit. There's so many things happening. The first thing that happened, I was dating this guy, and we were out at a club having a good time. And so he saw this guy. We walked in, he saw this guy, and I was like, come on, let's just keep walking. Let's go to the dance floor. He goes over and he beats up the guy. Wow. So it was these two bouncers in the club. And they said, you guys got to go. So we leave. We get in the car. And so this particular night, he left his car in front of my house. And so I was driving my car, which was my mom's car. And as we was leaving, this guy was on a bike. He said, you guys got to go back the other way because the guy got a gun. So we turned around, we went another way. This person came and shot up my house.
They were looking for the guy, though.
Looking for the guy. But what I couldn't figure out was, how did they know where I lived? They didn't go to his house. They came to my house.
Probably they followed the car.
We didn't go to my house.
Okay.
His car was parked in front of my house. They had shot up his car first, all bullet holes everywhere. And I guess they thought we may have been in the house, but we were not there. And they shot up my entire house, the house that I live in right now.
Wow.
And so that was just one incident that happened. And so much, and just think about it. My father had just passed away. Now the house and got shot up, and everybody looking at me saying, "What's going on? What's happening?" or whatever. There was just a lot happening, and I'm thankful to God. My mother and my middle sister went to court, and that morning I said, "Mom, you want me to go to court with you?" She said, "No." And my mother's a gangster too. And you know what? It's by the grace of God. Mom's a gangster. She went up to the guy. She said, "Why did you shoot up my house? This 5'2" woman, this man or whatever." She said, and so what was that about? All in his face. And so she told me, I said, "Mom, you want me to go to court?" She said, "No, go to work." She took my sister with her, my middle sister. She said when they got to the courtroom, they were sitting outside. 2 guys came in. They looked, they said, "Is that her?" They said, "Nah." They went in the women's bathroom. They went all over. They were looking for me. And she told me this later. I didn't even know.
Wow.
And so just so much was happening. So much was happening. My mother said, "I got," and this is where the guts and determined to make it came in.
Wow.
Came in. And so that's just, just a little bit of things that was taking place.
So they were just looking for you.
They was looking for me because of the boyfriend.
Because of the boyfriend.
Yes.
So maybe they thought you knew so much about them that.
They was just mad that he beat this guy up.
And why did he beat them up though? Do you know?
We're not gonna get over there. Okay.
Was it because of you?
No, it wasn't about me. It really wasn't about me at all.
Okay.
Wasn't about me at all. But
Okay.
yeah.
We're not gonna get there. But yeah, so now I also want to focus on your other professions. I mean, being a professor at a university, and also just being able to teach people public speaking and so on. So like, how is that for you though? Like, and how long have you been doing that for?
I've been teaching now. Right now, I'm not teaching right now. I'm getting back into that arena. I was fortunate enough, and it was really a blessing. I was teaching at Medaille College. I was a adjunct professor there. I taught the fundamentals of public speaking to undergrad students. I love that. In addition to that, I've worked with other programs at the University of Buffalo, working with students, tutoring, working for just different programs there. And currently, I'm actually part of a Toastmasters club that's called Say It Loud, and I'm going to be mentoring adults that are there as well. The public speaking came into, I'll tell you this, I've been speaking for a very long time, not only at church, but just speaking in general. A gentleman called me once that was working for Catholic Charities. He had 4 students that had dropped out of high school, and he called me and asked me if I would speak to them. I said, absolutely. And so I went to talk to these 4 young men, and really I just wanted to encourage them. I didn't talk to them about why they dropped out or whatever. I just talked to them about life and choices. And I let them know it's not how you start, but how you finish. And that where they are now, they don't have to remain there. And I talked about my life. I told them this story. I said, when I was in junior high school, I had this teacher who, she didn't like me and I didn't like her. It was clear. I'm telling you.
I was just beefing.
I didn't like her and she didn't like me.
Right.
And whenever she would see me, she would always say smart stuff to me or whatever. And this particular day, I told her, I'm going to shoot you.
Hey.
No. And she was going to press charges. And so she called my father, and my father had to come to the school. And so he called me down to the office. He said, Janice, your father is in the gym with the teacher. So I went in. He said, Janice, I want you to apologize. And so I said, before I apologize, can I say something? He said, Janice, just apologize. I said, well, this is what I said. I said, I want you to know that I come from a good family, and I respect my parents, and I'm obedient to them. And so I want you to know that I'm saying that I'm sorry to you because my father told me to tell you that I'm sorry. And I respect my father, but I don't mean it.
You said that?
I said that. I don't mean it at all. But
Right.
I'm just telling you that I'm sorry because he told me to tell you that I'm sorry. And she dropped the charges. The same teacher, when I was working as a church secretary, I was standing at the bus stop on the corner of Humboldt Parkway and East Ferry waiting for the 13. I don't know why I was going downtown. This car comes down East Ferry and does a U-turn in the middle of the street and stops in front of me. It was this teacher. She said to me, Janice, hon, is that you? I thought you'd be dead, in jail, or have a house full of babies. I said, well, as you can see, I'm not dead. I'm standing right here at this bus stop. Hello. I don't have no house full of babies. Hello.
Alert.
And I don't have a jail record.
Right.
And I can say today, which is Saturday, May 11th? May 11th, 2024. I'm not dead. Hello.
Alert.
I don't have a house full of babies. Hello.
Alert.
And I don't have a jail record at all.
Come on, you proved that wrong. You know, some people just wish so much bad things on you, or like some people like. That's why sometimes I say. It was basically she kind of said that maybe because she just held that grudge. Just you being a student, her being a teacher, and you guys were not seeing each other eye to eye.
Mm-hmm.
So she kind of let that stick with her instead of her letting that. So now I believe like that kind of like continue to kind of like kill her slowly, because when you hold that grudge, it kills you slowly. Like you will always see that person and you will not be happy.
Yeah, and it's wonderful because I don't know if you're out there. Hello, this is Janice Hunt again, and I can say that I'm a former adjunct professor. I can also say that I am an author. I wrote a book. I had a billboard up on Fillmore Avenue, and it just made me feel good.
Right.
It just really made me feel good that I did not become what she thought I was.
What she thought you was gonna be.
Exactly, right. And that's what I told the 4 young men. I said. And that's why I shared the story about my house being shot up. And I talked to them about the company that you're around, the environment, the people, how that can affect your life as well. So I told them, I said, and I'm still here. And I still live in the hood.
Right.
I was talking to some students from Burgard, and there was a young man sitting in the back of the class. He was sitting like this. So I went to him, and I said, hey, how are you doing? He said, you probably was born with a silver spoon in your mouth, You probably live out in Wheatfield, Amherst, somewhere. I said, man, I ain't got no silver or no spoon. What you talking about? And then when I started talking about the neighborhood I lived in, he kind of perked up like, right. I said, where'd you think I lived? He said, well, based on how you talk. I said, what? What? I said, you got to change your thoughts.
Right.
You got to change your thoughts. Because you're able to articulate or whatever.
You talk like that because you're educated.
But wait a minute. But you know what? I had someone tell me, I know you've heard this. You sound white.
I've heard people say that. They say I sound African.
But what does so I had a student. I was asked to do a workshop at the North Campus, UB North Campus. And the title that they gave me was being your authentic self and putting your best foot forward. And so we had a whole workshop that day. They had everything, etiquette, how to, with spoon, with fork to take, and all of that. It had a lot of things going on that day. My workshop happens to be the last one. And I'm thinking, oh, God, I'm nervous. Oh, God, what I'm going to do? I'm with these heavy hitters up here, whatever. Music is my go-to. So it was a young lady there named Zoe. She's doing phenomenal. She has her PhD, and she's in Pittsburgh. I said, Zoe, we're going to set it off. I said, put some music on. Put it on, set it off.
Put it on, Zoe.
Man, I had them up dancing and everything.
Wow.
And one of the students, she was sitting in the front row, and she said to me, she mouthed this word. And so I called her up. She was a white student. I called her up. I said, students, this young lady here just mouthed to me that I sound white. So I want you to tell all of us in this classroom, what does black sound like? What does black sound like? And even when I was teaching, I would have students say, you speak well. And I told them, I said, never say that to a black person. It's an insult.
Right.
It's an insult. I said, all the white professors here at this school, at Canisius, at Buff State, at University of Buffalo, at Damon, at Duville, I said, do you tell them that? It's not a compliment at all. How am I supposed to be speaking? What am I supposed to be saying? Like, really?
Right.
What am I supposed to be saying?
Exactly.
And then they associate it with, girl, I'm like.
And that's, I feel like that's what continues to poison our people's minds, you know, and that's what continues that stereotype that black people are this, black people are that, or this race is like this race is like that.
I
Instead
agree.
of like people actually understanding, okay, you can really be educated as an individual, as a human being,
Yes.
speak this way, you can really take yourself and put yourself in the right direction where you're not out here doing bad things, you're actually doing good things, you know. And the more we continue to eliminate speaking like that, telling people that, like, oh, you sound like this, is gonna actually destroy that stereotype and
I
actually bring
agree.
everybody together,
I agree.
you know.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I was asked to be on the alumni board, and on the alumni board, you had majority men, and the majority of the men were white. You may have had one or two black men, and and that was only black female.
Right.
And so, for them to ask me to come to the table, there had to be a reason why they asked me to come to the table.
Right.
And I told them, I said, no, don't get me wrong, okay? Do I like to have fun? Yes. When I'm at Juneteenth, when I'm at a festival, hey, yo, what's going on? What's happening? What's happening over here? What y'all doing? What y'all doing? However, when I'm at the alumni, when I'm on a board and I'm at the table, I am going to be able to articulate myself and get my point across. Right. Call it code switching, call it whatever you want to call it, okay? I'm professional on every level. On every level, I'm professional. Period. When I would answer the phone, Reno office, how may I direct your call? How may I help you? They used to laugh at me.
When I called you, you actually asked.
Right. How may I direct your call? And it throws people off. They're like, what? I'm a brand. I'm a business. Now, if I see your name and I know that it's you, I say, oh, hey, what's going on? What's happening?
Right.
You know? But if a person is calling and they're inquiring about my merchandise or want me to be a speaker, hey, what you doing, huh? No. I want individuals to take me, and I'm serious either way.
Right.
I am serious either way. But I'm a brand, and I do public speaking, and my voice is my currency. How I speak is my currency. And I want to get paid. PAID. Period.
Amen to that. Amen to that. And also, just one last thing that, what kind of message would you give to the younger people today, that's trying to find their true passion? You know, because you worked so many jobs. You did so many things, you're an entrepreneur and so on. So, like, what message would you give them in order for them to find that purpose and to find that, you know, to have that vision in life? Because people are different, but at the end of the day, advice does really help. So, what would you say?
First, I would say to the parents, because it starts with the parents. When you have children, help them develop. Children are very creative. And what I find is that we kill the creativity in our children.
Right.
So when you have children, parents, groom and nurture the creativity in them. And not only talk to them about education, talk to them about entrepreneurship, talk to them about businesses. Ask them, what is your interest? What are you curious about? Because it starts at home. You got to start having conversations. What I realized is from speaking with other people in other cultures, their home life is different than some of ours. They have doctors and surgeons and neurologists and all of that. Their grandfather and great-grandfather and great-grandfather. There's a lineage of those professions. And the conversations that they have in their homes are totally different than the one that I had in mine. My home was finish high school, get a job. So I would say parents, it starts with the parents. Nurture and cultivate the creativity in your children. And then children, as you start growing up, say explore. Don't stop exploring. Don't stop being curious. Explore. And think about this. Think about a business that you can do that no one else is doing. Think about this. Think about what you can offer. What's your target? What do you like to do?
Right.
And start thinking young. Don't wait till you get old like me. Don't wait till you get old. Do it young.
Right.
Yes.
And also, like, the circle that you surround yourself with.
Yes.
You know, like, because we had a conversation how you have to always be a leader of your own. You know, never be a follower.
Right.
You know?
Right. When I think of a leader, I don't think of leadership, and this is just personally for Janice. So when you see this, when I think of leadership, I'm only speaking of leading myself, not leading anyone else. Leading myself, putting myself forward, putting myself first, leading me. What is it that Janice wants? What else do I want to do? What can I get accomplished? How do I get this done? That's leadership, starting with myself, doing that first, not following the advice, not following what someone else is doing, the crowd and all of that. I've never been a follower. I wouldn't suggest that. It doesn't always work out well. And you can look and see how a person's life is. Take the meat and throw the bone away. If you look at their life and you see what they're doing well, take that, inherit that, incorporate that into what you're doing. And if you look at their life and you see that they're doing something that's ridiculous or that's not profitable, and I'm not just talking about profitable in terms of money, I'm talking about profitable in terms of just inheritance and wealth and well-being. Right. If it's not there, forget that.
That's why I tell people is just be a student of the game.
I like that. A student of the game.
Student of the game, just once you surround yourself around people, kind of like pick up on what they're doing. If it doesn't match what you want to do in life, you can exit,
I like that.
If it's something that, whatever they're doing is going to apply something to your life. It's going to bring value to your life. Be a student of the game. Learn from them.
Right.
But don't be a follower. Just be your own leader, but just a student of the game.
Yes. And surround yourself with people that are positive,
right.
Positive in their energy, positive in their speaking, positive in who they are, how they show up, positive. And also be around people that are smarter than you, because you can always learn something from them. If you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room. That's why I'm sitting here with him, because he's smarter than me. Smarter than me. He got a podcast. He's 24. He's got it going on. Man, I'm old. Thank you again for having me. I appreciate
problem.
it. Yes, I'm learning. I'm staying close to him. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Shades and all.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Janice. I appreciate you for coming here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. And also, as for those that I've already told, I'm gonna put the link below with your book, so that way they can go ahead and tune in, purchase it. Make sure you purchase the book. Show some love, support Black businesses.
Yes.
And also I want to say, I appreciate the words, the wisdom, everything that you brought to this episode. And I hope a lot of you learn from it. So that's my end goal. I want people to learn from each other and as we move forward. But yeah, man, this is Easy Mitchell Podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like, share, and also make sure you tell your friends, and don't forget to comment.
That's right.
And
only positive comments.
Only positive comments. Negative comments, you could say whatever you want, but it will be deleted. So
delete.
We don't want no negativity around here.
Not over here.
All right. Peace.